Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Hello, dear European and American patriots. I need your help. Tomorrow, I may be sentenced to unsuspended prison for daring to say on French TV that the main danger to women in France comes from black African and Arab immigrant men, even though I was defending a woman who was herself raped by a Central African man subject to an OQTF order in the courtyard of her Paris apartment building. Having myself survived an attempted rape by a Tunisian migrant 4 years ago, I could not remain silent. But for having spoken these words on a television set, the prosecutor has sought a prison sentence against me. She dismissed our two stories as insignificant incidents which did not excuse my hate speech. Yet, all I did was describe a reality that most French people are afraid to speak about, precisely because the justice system is capable of convicting them for describing what they see with their own eyes and experience firsthand. This is the repression faced by people in France who speak the truth out loud. But thanks to you, I have hope ahead of the verdict, which will be handed down tomorrow. Just yesterday, I was still hesitating to publish my story, thinking nobody would notice, and it has now spread beyond our borders. And thanks to this media pressure, the justice system may back down before trying to send me to prison instead of our attackers. Please share this message. We are no longer afraid. We are not alone. The French people are not giving in and are standing strong. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Patrick here. And yeah, we're just going to be pointing out the things that we're not supposed to notice. And that's a true story coming out of France. That young lady is facing charges because of her describing factual events are interpreted by the judicial system in France as inciting violence. Do we understand the type of world we are living in? And they don't want you to know about it. You know why? Because they're able to do this stuff in secrecy when we don't notice, and we don't spread the word, and the pressure doesn't mount. But that's a true story. Sexually attacked. She's also speaking on behalf of someone else that was sexually attacked. And if you weren't following, earlier this week, we covered out of England the case of 250,000 British women that have been sexually assaulted by migrants in their country. So it seems to be a constant thread. It happens here in America as well. But we're not supposed to notice it. We're not supposed to talk about it. Mainstream media refuses to cover all these tragic stories. And if it wasn't for alt media, X, a lot of these stories wouldn't gain traction, and it will be dying in the darkness. Because these are things we're not supposed to notice. These are things we're not supposed to talk about. We're supposed to accept the beating down of Western civilization. We're supposed to accept the stealing of our elections across the board at the local level, federal level, and in the international realm as well. That's why we are where we are, because we have leaders in place that should not be in place. They do not have the will of the people supporting them. They've been used by the machine to push agendas and use their power, their position of powers, to sow division amongst people. Division here in America, division in Europe. And what's happening now in Europe is more and more, they're becoming more right-wing. They're unifying more. We got an update what just came out of the EU Parliament today. Something I was surprised that happened, to be honest with you. But that video was on X yesterday, and today there's an update. So let's put the post up. Let's see what happened to this young lady. A French woman who was sexually assaulted by a Tunisian migrant could be sentenced to prison today for incitement to racial hatred. During a TV discussion, she said that the main danger for women in France is Black, African, and Arab immigrant men. She was initially giving a 6-month suspended prison sentence and a $3,000 fine, but she appealed the sentence with the new verdict expected later today. So she got 6 months suspended sentence and a $3,000 fine, €3,000 fine for speaking the truth about sexual abuses by migrant men in her country of France. And now she's appealing that. She shouldn't have to pay a damn thing, but it doesn't matter because the judiciaries, whether it's here in America or over the pond, have been corrupted by this ideological wokeness that is unleashed hell on Western civilization. Law-abiding people that are using their God-given rights to tell stories and free speech and to educate people about their experiences, right? The left is always about your truth, your truth. Well, here is this young lady's truth. And her truth doesn't matter. Her truth gets her fined. Her truth got threatened with her going to jail. And she was the victim of a crime, and her assailant is still out there roaming free. So yeah, we're not supposed to notice any of this. We're not supposed to know any of this. We're not supposed to be aware of any of it. We're not supposed to think about it, right? We need to be distracted. We need to be entertained at all times, right? Think about ancient Rome. The collapses were still going on. The collapse was going on around them, but as long as people were able to gather at the Colosseum and they got some bread and got some entertainment, they ignored what was happening. Kind of like us here in America still. We still have our entertainment. We still get our food, right? So the social stuff that's still going on around us it's there. It's happening. But not enough of us are ready yet. And that's because we're distracted. We have our entertainment. We have our careers. We have our families. We have all these other things that require our attention. And then our leaders who are supposed to watch out for the better good of the people, right? Because that's how a process is supposed to work. Doesn't work like that anymore. They don't look out for the betterment of the people. They look out for the betterment of themselves and their special interests and their foreign interests that hit them off with their campaign contributions, hit them off with their consulting jobs after they're out. Because that's how the game works. That's why they're all rich. That's why they're all above us. And that's how they look down upon us. And it doesn't matter to them because they can still say and do whatever they want. Politicians in France don't get locked up for speaking anything. Just same here in America, right? Politicians aren't going to get ticketed, but we saw a Chicago man get ticketed for talking outside an abortion clinic last week. It's coming this way because the left doesn't like an exchange of ideas. They don't like hearing the different perspective. The side that cries no kings is the first one to chop your head off at the guillotine because they are the king. That was a bad analogy because the guillotine was used to kill the king. So that was a bad analogy right there. But you get the point. They are willing to execute and carry out in their name everything against you, all in the same time saying you are the ones that are the no kings. You are the kings, so we need to eliminate your side. But we're not supposed to notice any of this. And it's not just in France that this happened. Check out this story out of England, what's going on to a man and and what he's being faced up, what he's facing for the next 2 years of his life. Let's play it.
Man has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for this comment on Facebook.
You wrote, because they're over here, given life of Riley off the tax us hard-working people earn when it could be put to better use. Come over here with no work visa, no trade to their name, and then there's more people being put out homeless each year. They get top band priority on housing. You went on to say that you did not want your money going to immigrants who, quote, are kids and get priority, end quote. Although you said that you had no intention of carrying out any act of violence, there can be no doubt that you were inciting others to do so.
There can be no doubt that you were inciting violence for literally just saying objectively true statements.
Noticing a trend? Truth statements that show that the agenda that's being passed down is full of crap doesn't get acknowledged. Instead, you get thrown in jail. You get punished because you cannot have dissenters. People that see what's going on, identify what's going on, call it out, and then are ultimately punished. Whistleblowers. Same thing happens here in America. You bring a concern forward. You don't get treated with the respect and the dignity you deserve. You get slandered, you get beat down, you get lawfare waged against you, you lose your job, you lose your income, and then what? Right? And then what? There is an organization, I haven't mentioned this organization, but there's this organization out there called We Won't Be Canceled. It's an organization that supports Americans that get canceled because of cancel culture. They helped me and my family when my story came out a little bit more than 2 years ago. So there are good organizations out there. We Won't Be Canceled is one of them. And they saw my story online. I got an email from the founder. We communicated a little bit. And then he wrote a check to my family for $25,000 to help offset the cost of me losing my job and my income and everything. So there are good organizations that are out there that support those that come forward that lose their jobs. But UK man's getting 2 years in jail for stating his observations online. But because his observations are deemed to incite violence, even though he's not calling for violence, the judge is saying, well, what you're saying is going to make people act violently. Therefore, you're guilty. Therefore, you must go to jail for 2 years. I know that's Britain. I know they're different than us, but still at the same time, that logic fails on its face. The only reason they're going to throw this man in jail is to send the message to everyone else that will possibly talk out about the migrant crimes going on in England, or the migrant fraud, or the displacement of native Englishmen who don't have access to housing because housing has been given to immigrants that have come into their country. So immigrants need a place to live, right? So, hey, you out. Lack of job opportunities as well, right? It creates a whole bunch of problems when you bring in millions of other people that don't want to assimilate to your culture. And then at the same time, take up resources that you yourself have paid into, but now you or your fellow citizens cannot get access to those resources because those resources now have been diverted to someone else that's never put into the system. And then if you talk about it, you call it out and you name it and you identify the problem, you get punished for it. Just for stating facts. And that's what the left does. And the left does it in Europe. The left does it over here in America. They just go around whacking you over the head. Pop, 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 pop. Oh, you notice something? Pfft, gotta squash you. Why? We gotta squash you so that 10 others like you don't rise up. Same reason why they threw everyone in that they could into the prisons in J6. And that's why they kept them there as long as they can. And that's why some of them are still there. Right? It's the mental warfare that these governments unleash upon their citizens by taking a couple sacrificial lambs, making examples out of them to keep the rest of us in line. Look what they did to Tina Peters. Look what they did to the J6ers. Look what they're doing to Jake Lang right now. Holding him on $1 million bond. Didn't kill anybody. Didn't even insinuate that he was going to kill anybody. But at the same time, the guy that actually did commit the murder got held on $250,000 bond and then got released and got to spend Christmas at home after he stabbed a white student in the chest with a knife because he wasn't supposed to be under a tent and was asked to move 15 times. But we're not supposed to notice things like that. Right? The only ones that notice these things are the ones that are in tuned, and they're the ones that get the message. And then what you do with that message is up to you. The message out here in America is if you step out of line, you speak things we don't like, we're going to hold you in contempt for $1 million. Or hold you in bond for $1 million. Or, oh, you caught election fraud? No. You're going to jail for 9.5 years. Right? It's all in the same. It's purposely designed to punish the people that are willing to speak out, but collectively a bigger design is to make sure everyone else below them, the ones that possibly will think about speaking out or acting, get a message that if you do, there's going to be pain coming your way. And that's the game that our government and our officials play with us every day. Either at the local level, state level, or federal level. Pick and choose. Right? Over the last 4 years under the Biden administration, right? What'd they do? Targeted parents at school board meetings, ushered in 20, 30 million illegal immigrants to flood our communities, take up the resources, rape and kill American citizens. And then us as Americans, once we start calling that out and naming it, you're racist. Americans are tired of it. Europeans are tired of it. You want to know how tired they are? Let's play this cut. What just happened at the European Parliament? They just had a massive vote about migration. Let's play it. So you can tell there's a lot of excitement going on in there. I couldn't tell if you picked up on the chant or not that broke out in there, but the chant that broke out was send them back. So the European Parliament just voted 418 to 218 to pass the strictest migration law in EU history. Deportations are going to start being carried out in Europe. Only 20% of immigrants that have been ordered to self-deport actually deport. So basically, the same thing here in America. Oh, you're told to go home? Oh, no, I'm not respecting your laws. I didn't respect your laws when I came in. You damn sure I'm not respecting your laws to leave. But you better believe I need access to housing. I need access to school. I need free medical care. I need a cell phone. I need $3,000 when I come across the border. Right? I need all that. But I don't have to respect your laws. And that's been the game for a long time now. And then Trump starts throwing people out, and then what happens is you get the riots. Couple agitators got killed, not peaceful protesters, right? Let's get it real here. Agitators were killed, but that halted the mass deportations that were underway. The EU is saying, nope, we're going to start doing this now. And what also this does means that you can't. So migrants in Europe used to hop from country. Like if you got a deportation in France, you would hop to Spain, and that deportation order is no good. So now what this means is that the deportation order, once you get it in one country in Europe, it's good across Europe. So you can't hide from deportations. That's one victory that they had. You could have mandatory detention of possible danger suspects extended from 6 months to 30 months. You're going to have return hubs built in third countries, meaning migrants will be deported out and held in these hubs in third-party countries before they are sent back to their home country. Long story short is the people of Europe are tired of it. Germany, France, England, Ireland, Scotland, Spain, Portugal, Italy, right? They're tired of it. They're tired of it. If you go online and look at the videos, the mass majority of European citizens are tired of the migration influx into their communities. Some communities have been completely taken over. They look like Dearborn, Michigan out here in the United States. They've been taken over. And then what happens is you bring in the third world, because that's what it is. Sub-Sahara, Middle East, right? Those are third world countries. They're not developing. They're third world countries. They are what they are. But you're bringing those people into these countries now, right? And you're bringing them in, and these people that are coming in have no clue or desire on wanting to assimilate. What they actually want to do is just bring their culture over here and make you worship their culture, even though they're from the third world and they're living like our ancestors did before the Middle Ages. They want you to follow their customs and way of life, and if you don't, you're a racist. Well, the European people were tired of being victims, specifically European women. Once again, this cannot be hammered home enough. European women are victims of sex crimes because of the third world migration that took place over the last 15 to 20 years in Europe. The rape numbers in Europe are off the charts compared to what they were before mass migration started. So what was the change in denomination? Let's put this post up so you can actually see the numbers and understand the numbers that I'm talking about. Take a look at the rape statistics in Europe from 2000 to 2023. In England and Wales in 2000, you had 8,000 rapes. In 2023, you had 68,000 rapes. You're up 60,000 rapes. In Germany, 8,000 rapes in 2000. In 2023, Germany had 39,000 rapes, up almost 30,000 rapes. 31,000 rapes. France, 7,500 to 42,000. And then Poland, you had 22,300 and 1,127. So what's the difference there if anyone's tuned in? What's the difference with those numbers, and why does Poland actually seems to go down? Because they did not take in third world refugees, and they get called racist. They get exiled from Europe because of their cultural beliefs and staying strong to who they are. Well, take a look. They're also protecting their women. Look at those numbers. Those numbers are astronomical. And what changed over that time? Did the Europeans just become more barbaric? No. No, they have not. They have imported the barbaric into their society. And if you don't believe what I'm telling you to be true, if you're going to say, I'm a liar, I'm an Islamophobe, this, that, and the other thing, listen to this 2-minute video. Specifically, check out the last 45 seconds of this video. And they explain why this happens out there blatantly in the open. But you're not supposed to notice this. You're not supposed to talk about it. You're the Islamophobe. No, we're not. No, I'm not. I'm the one that has a wife. I'm the one that wants my wife protected. And if you have the beliefs that this man has, that he talks about why rapes occur by Muslim men, you need to pay attention. Let's play it.
If, hypothetically, you rape a girl and you murder her, and if the court of law in this world cannot prove, and then you truly repent, will Allah forgive you? And you say, most probably Allah will forgive you. And you're right. If you have committed rape and murder, and if you truly repent and ask for forgiveness, as I told, there are 5 criteria required for forgiveness. Number 1 is you admit what you have done is wrong, that the sin that you have done is wrong, admit it. Number 2, see to it that you stop it immediately. Number 3, see to it that you don't do it again. Number 4 is that you ask forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If all these criteria are fulfilled, inshallah, I'll forgive you. Even if you have committed rape, which is a major sin, and if you have committed murder, it's a major sin. But if you truly repent, Allah will forgive you. As we know, Allah is Rahman Rahim. Now, coming to your second question, that is this not injustice to the girl who was raped and murdered? And I would say no. Because both the person who raped is undergoing a test in this world, the person who was raped also is undergoing a test. And let me explain to you that Allah has given guidelines to the woman that they should dress up modestly, they should cover their complete body, except those parts can be seen that is the face. Now, if after giving all these guidance, and hypothetically, if that girl doesn't dress up modestly, she is dressed up immorally, which people get excited and the rape is done, who's to blame? It is even the girl to blame. That doesn't mean that the boy has a right to rape. But besides the boy who committed the rape and murdered, it is the girl who also has to follow the guidelines of the Quran. If she wore obscene clothes because of which the rape took place, then she is responsible. But if she wore normal clothes and yet if the person rapes, then it is a test for the girl. For the girl, was she following the advice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by wearing appropriate clothes or not? If she was not, then she is to blame to attract the...
Did you get that? So basically he's saying if you're in a burqa or you're covered head to toe and you're raped, all right, the man's to blame. But if you're showing your body, if you're dressed showing skin more than just your eyes and you entice my men, they will rape you. And it's not my men's fault for that. It's your fault because you're dressed that way. So now if you take what is said there and then apply that logic to the rape numbers in Europe, you have your answer. Because in Europe, you have beautiful women walking around. They're not covered from head to toe, right? They're in shape. They're part of the modern fashion. Modern fashion in Western society for women mostly is to show some body, show some cleavage, show some of your your lady goods to attract a little, whoa, right? Like that's what happens. Let's be honest here. Like that's what happens. Yeah, I'm comfortable, right? But look, Western women are beautiful. They're out there when they're dressed, right? And Western men, for the most part, control themselves. They're not used to that. He's telling you that. They are not used to seeing women out there in the flesh. So they don't know how to control their desires. So my question is, how primitive are you as a person? How primitive is your culture? And yet we want to import this culture into our society, into our schools, into our neighborhoods. What are we doing? What did Europe do? And how long did it take the Europeans to finally try to start reverse course? They're openly telling you it is okay to rape Western females in that video. And then not only is it okay, they're blaming the Western females for the rape that occurs. So all those numbers you saw on that past slide, the 30 plus, 60 plus thousand rapes taking place in different countries over 20 years, that's why. Because the migrant population from sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East as refugees came in to Europe, and they can't control themselves when they see beautiful women, so they believe they have the right to rape them, and they do. Look what happened to 250,000 young children in England. This is a cultural thing that needs to be addressed. And don't say that, oh, only it's not a Muslim. No, it is. And it's not all of them, but it's part of the Muslim culture that's been brought into America, that has been brought into Europe, and citizens both in Europe and America are paying the price for it. And no one is doing anything about it on our political side. There's no solid immigration laws still being passed. We have control of the House. We have control of the Senate. We have Trump in charge. Is there any major immigration reform being pushed? Nope. Oh, we got to fund ICE. We got DHS. Yeah. Yeah, there's no laws being done. There is nothing preventing the third world migration from continuing once Trump is out. That's my point. He's done a pretty good job of tamping down third world migration. He's done a really good job of tamping down illegal immigration. But the problem is you still have the wolves in the den. The door's shut now, but you already have 20, 30, 40, 50 million behind. And then they're telling you it's okay because the women are not following the Quran. Why would our Western women follow the Quran? That's right, because you're looking to impose your beliefs and your culture here instead of in the third world where you're from. So why come here? Because you're looking to dominate. And this is what infuriates me, is that most Americans still don't get this picture, what's happening. And there are social ramifications from this. There are economic ramifications from this. From the third world migration into America, and then the refusal of the third world migrants to assimilate to American culture, not only not to assimilate, but then impose their culture onto the American way of life. Things we're not supposed to notice. Things that are just conspiracy theory. You're crazy. You're an Islamophobe. You're a racist. No, I'm aware. I see what goes on. And I don't trust the nonsense that comes out of my political leaders' mouths. I don't trust the nonsense that comes out of the mainstream media's mouth. I just deal in reality. And this is a real thing. It ties it together. It explains why rapes are up in Europe. It explains it. When you influx millions of third worlders into Europe, they are self-admittedly cannot control themselves because the women that they're around are not dressed in Muslim garb, but yet, therefore, fair game. So what does that also tell you about how they view women in their culture? Would you feel comfortable having your daughter or your wife viewed this way with you not around? How about your granddaughter? Right? This is a real issue facing a lot of Americans. And we've been sold out from the inside because all of these guys aren't coming over here illegally. They came in through other programs as well. Right? They didn't come here illegally. They came through legal programs. And I believe we showed enough clips now how the Muslims understand and have political knowledge of how our systems work. And they're wielding their knowledge and their influence and getting people elected and taking over seats. This is not isolated conspiracy theory stuff. You have school calendars being changed celebrating Muslim holidays that sacrifice animals. We're going to talk about that later in the show. But you're not supposed to notice any of this. You can't celebrate Christmas on your school calendar. It's no longer Christmas break in December. It's no longer Easter break in the spring. When I was in school, it was Christmas break, Easter break. Now it's spring break and winter break. But yet you could legitimately have a Muslim holiday on the school calendar that celebrates the slaughtering of animals. You're not supposed to notice any of this. It's not supposed to make any sense. But they are socially programming us to accept all of this. Dose by dose by dose by dose until America is gone, completely unrecognizable. And we're going to follow that up after the break because we're going to talk about love of country and what love of country means and then see what happens when you love your country. And then see what happens when you have special interests that take over the political arena in local communities. How things change overnight. How school days change, school holidays change, demographics of neighborhoods change, representation on city councils change, political leadership in mayor offices change. Today, Mamdani is celebrating the Knicks down Broadway in the ticker tape parade in New York City for the Knicks winning the NBA championship. 25 years ago, Muslims brought down the Twin Towers. Mamdani's connected to the Democratic Socialists of America. The Democratic Socialists of America openly want to destroy America. You're not supposed to notice any of this. And now Mamdani's endorsing other members to take over seats for Congress and for city council. It's a real issue. It's a real problem. But yeah, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some more cool stuff.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
What about the sloganeering about proud to be an American?
Okay, what about this idea, are you proud to be an American? Extremely or very proud to be an American? Again, look at this divide, a growing divide on this question. Back in January of 2001, 90% of Republicans, 85% of Democrats. This was after a very contentious 2000 election, keep in mind, right, with George W. Bush coming into the White House. You come over to this side of the screen in 2026, look at this. Again, the Democratic percentage absolutely plummets to just 29% of Democrats say they're extremely or very proud to be an American. That Republican percentage, the exact same, 90 and 90. The Democratic percentage, what is that? That's basically a third of the level that it was just 25 years ago.
I think you're right to point out that this was a time when Democrats might have been feeling badly about the course of the country. Still, 85% said they were proud to be American. Something's changed.
Something has absolutely changed, despite the fact a contentious time then, a contentious time now, and yet Democrats, that extremely very pride number has absolutely plummeted.
So yeah, that's a big drop in that amount of time. That's a big drop in 25 years. And then not even at the beginning, at the end of September 2001, where were we? Oh yeah, 9/11 happened. So we were more unified then than I've ever seen in my life. So what happened? Why are Democrats now sitting so low as loving country, proud to be an American? Well, started with Obama, unleashing equity amongst us through the school system. That's all what happened. It was a coordinated effort to destroy the morale of this country so that the core principles of this country can be destroyed and changed forever. It's not a mistake. It's not coincidental. It was purposely done. What explains the demise, especially along just one party? How does one party stay constant at 90% across 25 years while the other one craters? Public school system, all the way from elementary school through the colleges and universities. The promotion of equity started. That's what happened. And I guarantee you that number, it has only created over the last 15 years. Started under Obama. Trump came down, and then they unleashed hell on Trump. And then anything Trump did, the media had to drive against the narrative. So what did they have to do? They had to indoctrinate the people of America to hate its own country, and it worked through the media, and it worked through the school system, where they created a pocket of individuals that truly believe this is the worst country ever created, and their sole goal is to destroy the country, not to actually have any productive change to it, not to actually give a better vision on how this country is going to work, just simply destroy it. And that comes from pure hatred that's been injected into their veins since they walked into the school system. And you see the fruition of it to the 20s and 30-year-olds. You see it. It started under Obama, and it ramped up in 2020 in COVID and the Biden administration. So you had 8 years of Obama, you had 4 years of Trump, that the media hated Trump, so anything Trump did had to get spun into being negative, which then pointed out that this country sucks and this country is abysmal, which fueled that side to build the hatred toward this country. No wonder you think less than 3 out of 10 Democrats like this country, because they've been programmed to hate it. CNN, you can't put that together? You can't tie that idea, why so many people on the Democrat side hate this country? It's tied because of the indoctrination that took place in the school system that pumped hatred into the children of this school system, the hatred of this country, and now they're becoming adults. This is where you are. What are you talking about? And then you have the liberals, the liberal loony women that have fundamentally always hated this country. This is what you get. No one has a better answer, because if you take a look at what's going on in Europe, Europe is coming around to be more like, hey, MAGA, hello, get these effers out of here. So like you can't even dial back to like, hey, Europe has an idea. No, Europe is just saying, no, we want the migrants out. Boom, get them out. Enough of this. We love Europe. We want Europe to be for Europeans. We want America to be for Americans. I am proud to be an American. Why can't everyone agree on that? Or at least why can't 95% of the country agree that this country is fantastic? Because 25 years ago, they were able to do it. 25 years ago, the numbers weren't that far. Now you see that big gap of what, almost 60%? Huge gap. Why? Because one side has been trained to think now a certain way and the other side hasn't. Or the other side hasn't succumbed to the false narrative that has been promoted. The fact that we cannot agree to be prideful of this country while living in the greatest country ever created is the problem within itself. 25 years ago, people still disagreed on the political spectrum. They still disagreed on the political spectrum, but they had a unifying belief that we still love this country. 25 years later, that, hey, we still love this country, even though we disagree politically, we still love this country. That thin line doesn't exist anymore. And the fact that you can love this country or want to love this country means you're not fit to be a school teacher. And that falls into line why the bottom of the Democrats have bottomed out. It's the indoctrination of the school system and what happened in the school system. And if you don't believe me, listen to this cut. This cut's going to be from my oral arguments from May 12th. We might have played it on the show. I can't remember. But we're going to play this clip. And apologies if I'm playing it again, but I'm going to tie this clip to why the numbers are on the Democratic side and what goes on in the public school system that creates this whole big mess. Let's play it.
We're talking about, I would disagree about a private training. This is a school district required training. He was paid to be there. And not only that, he's paid to take what he learns in the training to his job.
The fact that he was paid to be there, I mean, he's not interacting with students. He's at this training. During the training, he is asked, what are your personal views? So he can either lie and just parrot the message they want to hear, or he can actually answer the question truthfully and get fired for it. I mean, that's what the complaint alleges. The only thing in the complaint of what he said is what we have. There's no follow-up allegation that we have a third party goes and makes a complaint and says, this, what he said, evidences that he's unwilling to acknowledge. But there's nothing in the complaint there's nothing that we have at this stage of the litigation that says that where he said, I will not acknowledge that people of color have more barriers than white people. I mean, there's nothing there.
It's implied, I guess, but he doesn't say that, and I can't argue with you on that.
So that's in reference to me identifying as a proud American in equity training. And did you hear that? It's implied, right? So they take all this magical nonsense to kind of dissect and spin things any which way they want, because at the end of the day, Cherry Creek School District did not want a pro-America dean in front of their kids. And we're fighting this all the way to the 10th Circuit. But it goes way deeper than that, because at the heart of it, what Cherry Creek School District is actually saying is we don't believe America is a great country and we cannot have that message in front of our kids. Therefore, we must fire anybody that is pro-American. And that's why only 29% of Democrats believe this country is great, because they have teachers throughout this country in front of kids that hate this country. That's a prerequisite to be a public school teacher for the most part. You have to hate this country in order to serve our kids. And that's what equity teaches. And that's what happens. And that's why the numbers are what they are on the Democratic side, because the schools are controlled by the Democrats. Any major school district throughout this country is controlled by the Democrats. And the Democrats align with using equity within the school system. And that's why another reason why Trump and his administration need to really pass legislation or get the ball rolling on legislation to outlaw critical race theory and equity in the school system, because critical race theory and equity are blatantly racist and they violate people's civil rights. And I was fired for just saying I'm an American that loves this country. My language was deemed having racist undertones, amongst other things, right, Ron? You had to purge your school district of anyone that loves America, because people that love America know anything is possible for anybody in this country that actually wants to achieve something. It's simple. Put the effort in, you will be successful. It's not instant. And you're always going to be chasing something bigger and better, because that's what America instills in most of us. We want to be bigger and better. It's that motivational drive. But they want that motivational drive and the belief that you can achieve in this country squashed in the school system, because they want a bunch of programmed, useful idiots outside of school and be used as shock troops on the ground to wage conflict and ground wars against everyday Americans. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, look what goes on anywhere you go. Anything that is done is met with resistance by the left. You have a coffee shop out here in Colorado called the Drip Cafe that actually supports homelessness, right? Actually brings in homeless people, gives them a job, trains them, right? Gives them a belief in being better. And you know what the left does to them? Because they promote Christianity as well. They trample on them. Trans-Tifa comes out to protest and make their job and their business less profitable. That's what the left does continuously. Connecting the dots yet? You have to hate this country in order to be successful. You have to hate this country. And that's what they believe. And then once you hate this country, then there's obviously a reason why I need to change this country. Right? It's all being done through the educational system. From birth, from kindergarten, first, second, third, seventh, eighth, 12th grade, higher colleges. And then if you don't go to college, but then you enter in the workforce pumps you in with DEI also. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. This is all by design, but you're not supposed to notice any of this. And check this clip out of Rochester Public Schools in Minnesota, what they just added to their calendar. Let's play it.
The Rochester Public School Board has approved the district's budget for next school year. The $483 million budget includes $8 million in cuts. The board also approved next year's calendar, which recognizes the Islamic holiday of Eid al-Adha.
And I've been noticing this a little, excuse me for my ignorance, but I've started to notice on calendars more, school districts. My buddy called me from New York the other day, a couple weeks ago, like, yeah, man, I'm off Eid al-Adha Day. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, what? But yeah, it's a Muslim holiday that's being added to school calendars across the country. New York City Public School has it, 1 million kids affected by it. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh public schools have it. Michigan public school districts have it, right? So it's taken shape in a lot of deep blue city and state school districts. But what's the importance of this holiday? What is the importance of Eid al-Adha holiday for the Muslims? Does anyone know what happens that day? I didn't know. I looked into it today. Right? It's tied into Abraham having to sacrifice his son, but then God comes down, turns his son into a sheep or a goat, and then he sacrifices the goat. Because in his dreams, he was told that God was telling him he had to sacrifice his son. So eventually he agreed, I will sacrifice my son. And then he didn't have to sacrifice his son. His son gave him the animal to sacrifice. But now what this holiday is in Islamic culture is a day of animal sacrifice. So we are now honoring animal sacrifice here in America in the name of inclusivity for the Muslims that are coming to this country that want to change our society. Go figure that. Look how many school districts, it's over 100 school districts throughout the country. Majority in New York celebrate this. Okay, New York City Public School do. That's 1 million students. The majority of Long Island school districts celebrate it as well. It's celebrated DPS is closed, but it's celebrated out here in Colorado for certain businesses, right? It's everywhere. But do people actually know what the purpose of this holiday is? You're actually celebrating the slaughter of animals for a religious reason. I thought we moved past this. I thought we were way past this as a society. But that's right. That's what happens when you bring the third world into your own country. And then if you tell them no, you're labeled Islamophobe. How can you be? You're America. You're supposed to adopt everyone. So no, we need to allow you to celebrate the slaughter of animals. And I'm not you're talking about cows, water buffalo, camels, sheep, goats, amongst others. But we're supposed to be okay with it. And now that's all right. It's on the school calendar. Kids get to celebrate it. Hey, guys, you know where you got off? Today's the Muslim Day of Sacrifice, where they get to sacrifice animals. And now the meat is supposed to be divvied up and given every which way. Yeah. But at the heart of it, it's a day for animal sacrifice. And public schools throughout the country are closed for it. How many of you school administrators know that that holiday is for animal sacrifice? How many of you teachers know? Were you told this? Or you just said, oh, this is Muslim holiday. Oh yeah, we need to do this because it's inclusive. They need to get a day off. So why is that allowed to be celebrated? But yet when you get Christmas, during Christmas, it's no longer celebrated as Christmas. You can't mention Christmas. It's referred to as winter break. And the same thing as Easter. It's a war on language. It's a war against Christians. It's a war against the American way of life. And then if you resist, you are branded the enemy. Are you noticing this yet? We are the enemy within our own country. But we're not supposed to notice any of this, right? Dose by dose by dose. This is generational shifting. This is not a war that's going to be ended or won within the next 30 days, 60 days, year, 2 years. It's not. This is basically the forever war, right? We fought forever wars with our military, but now internally we have to fight forever wars culturally, because our leaders aren't doing anything about these rapid changes and these influx of immigrants, because the grift is too good. The special interest is too good. The kickbacks are too good. The selling out of the everyday American is too good. And why do they not care? Because their kids don't go to regular public schools. Let's be honest here. They don't associate with us. They are detached from us. They look down upon us. We are the slaves. We are the plebeians of today's society. And then you bring in a third world mentality that we have to assimilate to them. They don't have to assimilate to our culture. We have to assimilate to their culture. We can't openly celebrate Christmas in schools. We can't openly celebrate our Christian heritage in public government spaces, but they can. And they are given those days for it. And then let's take a look. That's the social ramifications. What about the economic ramifications of immigrants coming in? Check out this post about how home prices have shifted. A report from the Fed found that illegal immigration alone accounted for increases in home prices of 30% and in rental prices of 20%. The real impact is likely much higher when factoring authorized immigrants who were given generous financing. So the reason why property values have went up, there is a lack of inventory. It's a lack of inventory available to the American people because the American people were priced out by their own government bringing in foreigners. You're not supposed to connect the dots. You're not supposed to understand how this game got played, right? The American dream's out of reach because the American dream became the reality for Muslims and third worlders coming to America over our children. That's the reality of what happened, but you're not supposed to notice any of that. You're not supposed to talk about it, right? Can't bring any of this up, but we were sold out by our government. We were sold out by the leaders because all this doesn't happen free without getting clearance. None of this happens without the border being busted open, 20 million or so illegals allowed in. It doesn't happen when you have fraud through the visa programs that allow foreigners to come in that have the right amount of currency. Makes no difference, like the Wild Wild West. And then when they get here, boom, they're able to hit off buying homes. It's crazy. They have finances, but it happens in New York all the time. Foreigners are able to outbid everyday Americans because they're coming in with cash. They're coming in with hard body cash. Houses on the market for $600,000, $700,000. They're paying $900,000, $950,000 cash. Cash, Americana, cash. Factually true, happening on Long Island all over the place. Real Americans are getting priced out because of stuff like this. So who's the real enemy? Our leaders that are allowing this to happen. Everyone knows what's going on that's in charge, but no one's doing anything about it because the grifting and networking is too good. The cash flow and the betterment of my family is too good for the 300 million Americans that are down here. That's why all this happens. You're not supposed to notice it. You're just supposed to believe everything they say. I got you, bro. We're making things better. I got you. There's been no major legislation done. There's no talk of major legislation getting done still. Midterms are coming up in November. We're running out of time. We're running out of time is my point. But these selected leaders are in charge, and then you get them talking to us about how we need to increase their pay and no one wants to run for office because the job's so hard. Check this clip out.
Well, look, the salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. When you adjust for inflation, a member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year. It goes down every year. And over time, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean, it's just people just make a reasonable decision as a family on whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a residence here, residence at home, and do all the things that are required. So the counter argument is, and I have some sympathy, look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to take care of their family.
Do you hear these pieces of trash? Do you hear them? Allow them to stock trade? Are you kidding me? They make hundreds of millions of dollars off the stock trades. They get six-figure salaries. They have office budgets. They don't need any more. It's not a sacrifice to run for office. Okay? It's a power move, and it's an enrichment for yourself. That's why the majority of people that run for office do run for office. Very few get into the arena for the right reasons. They get into the arena for the self-preservation and the self-grift to empower themselves and to enrich themselves. That's why the majority of these assholes get into, oh man, that pissed me off so much. That little snake in the grass piece of shit, Johnson, is horrible. Horrible. And he's going to say, oh, we need to have sympathy and empathy. Maybe we could allow them to stock trade because they are making such a huge sacrifice running for office. You know what? Then don't run for goddamn office if making $174,000 a year isn't enough. How about that? How about you don't run for office if making $174,000 a year isn't enough? How about the real reason to run for office is to make positive change and then step away and then go back to work? Because that was the original intent of our founding fathers writing our Constitution that way. And our founding fathers never conceived of putting term limits in, honestly, because a lot of people didn't live long back then. They wouldn't envision our politicians being in office for 40, 50 years. They didn't envision that when they were writing that document. But that's what has been allowed to occur because no one's actually stopped the grift. Once people figured out how they could benefit from the grift and abuse the Constitution, they take advantage of it and never will actually go back to change it. Right? When they passed term limits on on Roosevelt back in the day, why didn't they pass term limits on themselves as well? Because they knew what the grift meant for them at that point. They understood as members of Congress, we could keep coming back every 2 years. We can keep coming back every 6 years and getting a re-up on our contract and getting re-up on our perks. That's why it's never changed, and it never will change. They'll never limit the power on themselves, ever, because they know what it means. It's not about going to Washington to do better for the American people. If it was, they would sign off on term limits. It's about the greed. Right? And I think that's probably the issue within our Constitution that our founding fathers missed, is just they knew men were evil. They understood it. They just didn't rein it in enough. I guess they didn't understand the greed nature of the human. Or they did and just left it out. I don't know. Because they did a great job framing our government. But that is one of the king points that were missed, was the term limitations on elected leaders. Because once they're in, they're entrenched. So they make $174,000 per year. They are eligible for pensions. They do have medical benefits. Do you know what the average American salary is? Average American salary is $64,000. So they can't live off of making $110,000 more than the average American. Well, I need to have a home here. I need to have a home there. No, you don't need to have a home in DC. You could stay at a hotel. You could rent out an extended stay, right? You can make these minor adjustments, but it's no. I need that second property that's worth $2-3 million in DC. Crazy extended stay? I'm not of the people. I'm not of the people. They're down there now. I'm up here. I deserve a house here. I deserve a house here. I should be flying on private jets. And let's not forget that they also get budgets to run their office. Right? So they get salary, they get medical, they get pension, they get reimbursements. They also get a budget to run their office. In the House of Representatives, each rep gets around 1.8 million to 2.1 million per year for office staff. For office staff, 1.8 to 2.1 million per year. And who do you think pays for that? Two thumbs up. Point them inward. This guy. You do. I do. We all do. We pay for it without taxes. You know what the Senate office budget staff is? Anywhere between 3.5 and 5.5 million per. Each person gets that to staff their office. So collectively, the budget for the House to staff their offices is $850 million for office staff. The budget for the Senate, $645 million. That's over $1 billion a year that Congress gets for staffing their office budgets. Over $1 billion a year. So you have that. You get a budget to pay people to work for you that you tell them what to do. You get paid $174,000 a year on top of that. You get security detail. You get transportation. I don't know what you're complaining about. That you need to have some sympathy for that members of Congress need to stock trade. Let's not forget the grift doesn't stop once they're out of office, right? Because once they're out of office, you got podcasts, you got media deals, you got book deals, you got consulting jobs. So please, please, please. The moment you get elected to Congress, you're set for life. Let's be real here. Unless you really mess it up big time, unless you're peddling kids, sexually assaulting people, which members of Congress do, like you and your family are set for life. So I don't need to hear this bullshit that, oh, maybe we should allow them to inside trade. Are you crazy? Basically, you're acknowledging that there's inside trading with that statement. So how can we have a rule and law of society when the rules of society don't apply to those that make the rules of society? You have a lawless society. And the only people that ever get held accountable are us. The regular, everyday folks that pay their checks, that go to work 40, 50 hours a week, trying to raise a family, all while fighting the culture wars as well. But these are all things you're not supposed to notice. Well, Americans are noticing. Americans are getting tired. Now, the question is, are our political leaders ever going to do anything about it? I'm not holding faith in that. Is our election system going to change? Yeah. I really would like to see some serious changes. I really would. I would like to see some arrests as well. I really would. I would like to see all this stuff start coming together. Because we can't keep going this way. We really can't keep going this way. Like, Americans have been put to the back burner. We just have. We need to get the illegals out. We need to get them off all government assistance. They need to be debanked. We need to take control of the monetary flow that the migrant community has taken over the Americans. We need to get that money back. And I'd like to see a spreadsheet of it too. I want to see it documented. I want to see it laid out. You know, the $8 billion recovered from the Leering Center here is now plugged into here. And now what that means is that we don't really need to keep taxing and feeing you to help, right? That's partly why everything is so expensive, is because we're supplementing a lot of what's given to illegals. Food, housing, medical. How many car insurance has gone up through the roof? Why? A lot more hit and runs going on. Why more hit and runs going on? Because you have illegal immigrants that get licenses from states that are allowed to drive but don't understand the rules of the road, and then don't get insurance to insure their vehicles because they don't have to do it in their home country. So when they hit somebody here in America, boom, they just keep on driving. It's all true. It's all true. And then you get these blue states and blue cities and these politicians that are telling you you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. Nope, you're a racist. No, I beg to differ. I beg to differ that I'm well in tune to what's going on out there. I'm tired of what's going on out there, and I'm just speaking the truth out here. That's all I'm doing. Exposing stuff, get some likes, get some shares, right? There's always going to be more coming. There's going to be more coming from me, don't worry. I'm in a generational war now also. Cherry Creek inequity brought me into this generational war. So yeah. That was fun today. I'm going to pray it out. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to sit in this chair and share my thoughts without people. Dear Lord, thank you for my family. Thank you for my boy. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my mother, my in-laws. Everyone's in good health. Thank you for a tremendous opportunity yesterday, stepping outside my comfort zone and doing something completely different and new and exciting. Thank you for that tremendous opportunity, Lord. Thank you for another day above ground, the beautiful sky, the warm air, the sun. Just got to remember that every day is a beauty here. And dear Lord, please just give our political leaders an ounce or the slice of will to do the right thing by the American people. And Lord, please allow those that are attending the parade in New York to arrive home safely with no incident. As my hometown team did win a championship, a little selfish plug here, but I do want to see everyone that attended that parade get home safe. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Things you're not supposed to notice. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, class dismissed.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real, no more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the